Call of Duty Zombies would be nothing without its iconic Easter eggs. And with over 50 Zombies maps, there are a lot of Easter eggs. More so than that, there are a lot of Easter egg steps in Zombies, but they're not always great. So in this video, we're going to be going over the 10 most pointless Easter egg steps in the history of COD Zombies. There's a lot to get through, so buckle up, like this video if you've ever done an Easter egg in Zombies, and if you love Zombies and Christmas, then you need to grab yourself a pair of these gobblegum ornaments. These are without question the coolest bit of merch I've ever created, and you only have 1 week to get your hands on them. They're $10 cheaper than they were at launch. If you want to check them out, there's a link in the description. No particular order, we're throwing it back to 2016's Revelations in Black Ops 3 for one of the most pointless steps ever. And to this day, I still get angry at it, and it's the bone step in Revelations. As I'm sure most of you are familiar with this Easter egg, there is a step where you have to build a skeleton by getting several bone parts which are around the map. In order to get those bone parts, you have to shoot them, but Treyarch decided to make this step so much harder than it needed to be by putting these locations in the absolute worst spots you could ever imagine. Now, as you can see here, there is a skull floating in Shangri-La, which looks pretty obvious, right? Like, that's fine. There's nothing wrong there. But trust me, it gets worse. Here on Nakta and Toten, you have to shoot this little thing on this ledge, which you would never ever look at, but it still gets worse. You then have to look through this monstrosity where you have like 50 rocks floating just to try and find that little bone that's there in the very back. Then you've got this location here in Origins, and like, I don't even know what I'm shooting at here, but somehow I managed to shoot the bone. Like, it's that difficult to see, but it still gets worse. Like, look at this location in Verrückt. You can barely see it's there, but it gets even worse for the last location where you have to shoot this wall during the free running mini game. And I don't know how anyone even discovered this back in the day. Like, it just hurts my brain. It just does not make any sense whatsoever. And you need to have an upgraded weapon in order to shoot any of these bones. On top of the Apothicon Servant for this step, I just absolutely hate it. For our second Easter egg step, this is going to take us to Transit, where pretty much everything about the Easter egg on that map is pointless and weird, but this is going to be luring the Avogadro under the pylon. Now, this is difficult in itself because you can't really time exactly when the Avogadro is going to be on the map. The main rule to follow is that when there is lightning above the area that you're in and you end the round, he should spawn in the next round there, but it doesn't happen consistently enough. And just the whole idea of luring this thing under the tower is annoying because you need to EMP it with an EMP grenade on top of having 2 turbines on either side of the tower, which will get hit by the EMP and disable, making the step fail. Everything about the Easter egg on Transit just does not make any sense, but this is just such a pain because you have to get EMPs out the box first, which is difficult enough, and then getting the Avogadro to actually appear by the cornfields. It's just pointless. I don't like it. Coming in at number 3 is going to be Blood of the Dead from Black Ops 4 and the infamous bird step. Now, there's still some magic to seeing the Chronorium and the weasel fly out of the book as the bird. It's a great piece of storytelling, but what isn't great is how this translates into one of the most pointless and annoying steps in any Zombies Easter egg ever. In a typical Easter egg where you've got to find part locations, there's normally 3 to 4 for each. This just takes it to a level which is beyond a joke. There's not 10, not 20, not 30, but over 40 locations for this bird. 42 to be exact. How on earth is anyone that's playing this map casually trying to work out the Easter egg or even trying to follow a guide not go insane realizing they have to check 42 locations to find a bird? I really don't see the point of why Treyarch have to go to this much effort to make that many locations. I'd go so far as to say this is ridiculous and feels like such a pointless step towards getting to the actual main parts of the Easter egg on this map. But boy, is this next one an absolute doozy. This is probably the most pointless step in this entire video, and it's the fact that it's the only step to the Easter egg on this map, which is round 150 on Classified. Most main Easter egg quests contain some really cool steps, some trivia, puzzle solving, and a boss fight, but nope, not with this. You just simply survive 150 rounds. Now, no casual player is ever going to do that in one sitting on this map especially, but it's crazy because this step takes you at least 10 hours in-game time in order to complete, and all you get for it is just one quick cutscene. insane. That's it. I can say with confidence that of any Easter egg that hardcore zombie fans would have gone and tried, this is probably the one that has had the least completions because there is literally no point, which is why it's here in the most pointless Easter egg steps. But just before we jump into number 5, here's a quick message from today's sponsor. This portion of the video is sponsored by Nakon and their incredible Revolution X Pro controller. Let's unbox it. Ooh, dang, look at it in this nice little bag. Oh my god. Again, you know it's legit when you get a cleaning cloth and a carry case for a controller. This is a very slick looking controller with mapping paddles on the back. But beyond just a controller, you get this as well, which are additional shafts that adjust the amplitude of the joystick. Not only that, but you can also choose between concave or convex thumbsticks. But this is without doubt a controller made truly for competition. What makes this controller even more impressive is that it comes with software. You just simply download Revolution X from the Windows Store, connect your controller up, and then you can choose between 4 different presets, such as racing, sports, FPS, arcade fighting, and infiltration. But if none of them suit your style, you can create a brand new preset from scratch. And this is just insane. You can remap every button on the controller, even going so far as changing the response curves on the left and right stick, even going so far as tuning the triggers, which is absolutely insane. Like, I've never seen this level of control in a controller before. Another thing that blows me away is that this controller has Dolby Atmos for headphones included. If you've never experienced Dolby Atmos, you absolutely have to. It's an incredible 3D audio technology. You can access this simply by just plugging some headphones into the controller. If you're as blown away as I am and want to learn more about this controller, maybe get it for Christmas, there is a link in this video's description. Perfect for the Xbox Series S and X, Xbox One, and Windows 10 PCs. And it's cheaper than an Elite 2 controller, so it's incredibly good value for money. A big thank you again to Nakon and the Revolution X controller for sponsoring this video. Let's get back to the video. Next up is probably one of the weirdest interactions that you'll ever hear from Richtofen in a Easter egg step, and this is a step on the Die Rise Easter egg. Now, there's one step where you need to shoot these 2 balls with all of the ammo in a liquefier. That's right, there is no logic or reason for this step to even be a thing, but for some reason you have to unload all of your ammo on 2 balls in lion statues in the spawn room just for them to spin. It's such a weird, pointless step. It's another one of those things where it's like Black Ops 2 Zombies just had the weirdest Easter egg quests where the steps really didn't make a lot of sense, and this is right up there. Sole purpose of this step is to get this out of the box and then just waste all of its ammo shooting 2 random objects. It's so dumb. But this next one is probably even more dumb because whilst there is at least some sort of logic behind it, it just sounds so weird and it's so dumb to be doing this in a zombies map, and that's cooking a burger in Exo Zombies Infection, also known as Burger Town. There's one step where you need to get the Megatron out of the mystery box, and you get this zombie meat that you put onto a cooker, and you have to actually use the Wonder Weapon to cook this burger. It's so random, it's so weird, and it's also really pointless. I think this whole map in general is just very, very odd. But I know there's going to be a few of you watching this video that actually probably love this map. So if that's one of you, then fair play is all I say. Moving on to another Easter egg step now, and this takes us to Infinite Warfare Zombies Attack of the Radioactive Thing for what I would like to say is probably one of the hardest Easter egg steps in all of Call of Duty Zombies, and it's the chemistry step. Oh my god. This is genuinely so complicated without an Easter egg guide to help you. And I just get a headache every time I think about this step. There is so many things that go into this that I feel like Infinity Ward just made this step so much more complicated than it needed to be just for the sake of adding a hard step. There is so many layers to this step. Like, you have to figure out a mathematical equation within the lab first, which involves you having to go and look in certain areas in multiple different visions of color, and then having to mix multiple compounds that you find in different areas around the map to make super compounds. Like, I'd say it's almost as bad as the bird step on Blood of the Dead, but it is just so complex, especially for anyone that's a casual zombies player trying to do the Easter egg on this map. It is so hard. But I know some people like a challenge, and this step definitely adds challenge. Next up here in this video is a step that I absolutely despise and I still struggle with doing even now. I'm sure some of you will as well. And this is the planet step on Voyage of Despair's Easter egg. For this step, you need to go around the entire map and activate a load of different planet symbols which are on the floor in any order. Now, there's nothing too difficult about this, but it's what comes later. You have to interact interact with a model of the solar system, and you then have to watch each of these planets flash in an order in which you're going to have to interact with each planet in the sky. Now on solo, this is an absolute nightmare because you have to do this during a round where you're going to have zombies swarming you. And then when it comes to shooting all of these planets in the sky, you need to be able to recognize each planet perfectly to not mess up the order. Shooting each planet will have that planet drop to a certain area of the map that you've got to pick up in order to shoot the next one. And genuinely, when you're picking up these planets, the amount of zombies that spawn around you is like tenfold. It's just so difficult. But I've never really gotten the point of this step because it's just more frustrating than it is fun. And it's also extremely difficult, especially if you've never done it before. And whilst we're on the topic of Voyage of Despair, we've got another step here in the main quest, which is the clock step. Now, ultimately, the point of this step is you're going to be changing levers in the bridge, which is the front of the boat, setting them a little bit like a clock's face, having the minute hand and then the hour hand. But there are 10 of these in total around the map, and certain ones affect other levers in other parts of the map. And it's just such an annoying part of this Easter egg. It's one of the very first steps to start it, and I just don't understand the point of it. It's just so overly complicated for the sake of being complicated, in my opinion. And it's another example of an Easter egg step that I just don't enjoy. I really don't like it. If you disagree, I'd love to know down below. Now, we're now getting into one which I really don't like, and it's the only step that stops me doing this Easter egg quest in Firebase Z, and it's the final step where you have to shoot a dartboard in order to get the eye for the free Ray K on Firebase Z. Now, it's not the most difficult thing to do in the world, but when you're in the middle of a game, you don't really ever get that breathing space to be able to sit there and watch this thing go around so you know exactly what to be shooting on the dartboard. It's just quite an annoying step. And again, the correlation between this computer and a dartboard is annoying and, in my opinion, just a little bit pointless. Because of this one step in this Easter egg, I'd rather just get the Ray K for free from doing the trials. Now, we're getting near to the end of this list, but I do have some honorable mentions that I'd love to include. First being Buried Sharpshooter step. Now, this is a infamous, annoying 4-player step because you need a whole team of competent people have a great understanding and knowledge of where these targets are going to appear in each of the 4 designated areas. Otherwise, you are going to be doing this step forever and ever and never completing it, because if one person gets it wrong, you have to start all over again, and it's such a frustrating step. I don't think it's pointless because I actually really like the step. I think it's very cool, probably one of the most memorable steps in COD Zombies, but it's definitely on the honorable mentions, as I know some people would definitely think it could be classed as pointless. Another is from Exo Zombies Outbreak, the very first map, and it's involving getting the EM1 laser weapon out of the mystery box, which is really hard to do in that game anyway. You can time getting certain weapons by just watching what appears, but you have to get that, and you have to laser the mystery box whilst it's spinning. That's it. That's an Easter egg step right there. The weapon isn't very good, and you need it just for that one step, and then you can just get rid of it. It is absolutely pointless. Another pointless Easter egg is getting a free gobblegum on Shadows of Evil. What you need to do is you need to get Widow's Wine and throw the Widow's Wine grenades into these lions' mouths over in the Canals district, and then you'll be able to grow your own gobblegum, which after a few rounds you'll be able to get from the gobblegum store in the main square. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a terrible gobblegum out of this. And also, we live in a world where everyone's got 1 billion of every gobblegum. It is hella pointless. But that's enough of the honorable mentions. Back to the final most pointless Easter egg step in this video is going to be none other than using the jet gun to heat up the tower in transit. There is a whole step in this map dedicated to you getting the jet gun and then using all of its energy pointing upwards towards the tower for the weapon to explode and break into many pieces. Like, if you thought it was bad enough with Die Rise using all of the ammo, for this you literally have to build this weapon, which is already a pain in the backside, and then you have to completely destroy it whilst aiming upwards at a tower. It just makes no sense whatsoever. Not like you'd want this wonder weapon anyway, let alone having to rebuild this thing once it's been destroyed, but it has to be up there as one of the most pointless Easter egg steps that I have ever done inside of a zombies map. I'm sure this barely scratches the surface, and there's probably at least another 10 pointless Easter egg steps that I didn't mention in this video. So if I've forgotten any, please let me know in the comment section whether you agree, disagree, or if I've forgotten some which are even worse than what we had in this video. If you enjoyed this and want to see more, then please let me know also in the comments, and be sure to leave a like rating. It's free, only takes a second, and it lets me know you really enjoyed the content. Be sure to subscribe as well so you make your way back to the channel for more videos like this one, and you can check out another one on your screen right now where I'll be there in just a few moments.